Hello and welcome. I'm the Restless Kaiser, and I'm over here.
And I'm Jamie, and I'm over here.
But together we are modeling for advantage. Well done, well done. All right, we've got Alad here looking forward to this. I need to check the app out, ready for when I paint the Battle of the Bulge starter set. That's quite a big one, I think, that one. With the 276mm Shermans that he won.
Oh, very good. I need to get my hands on the Battle of the
Bulge. I think you need easy 8s for Bulge. I don't know whether the Warlord 76mm has got the smooth ride. We'll have to see. And Lazy Parrot Painting is here. So, Jamie, it's entirely possible that some of the young and beautiful people at home don't know who you are. So, do you want to tell them?
I will tell them. So, I'm Jamie Morris. I am the co-founder of Maloric Digital, my wife being the other co-founder. And I've been building the official Warlord app for the last, feels like a decade. I also built the official app for Fallout Wasteland Warfare. And also the app for Beyond the Gates of Antares version 2. So I'm a software developer for a financial institution in my day job, and in the evenings I build apps for the war games industry. That's me.
Very nice. Right, so that's Jamie. He's here tonight, obviously, to talk about the Warlord app. He's going to give us a bit of a talk through it and some of his thinking behind it. Rich John's chipped in the chat. He's putting transfers on vehicles for bolt action tonight. At least listening to the show will keep you sane. Well, that is possible. I don't know how likely. Well, Jamie, I can see you've got something there. Do you want to give them a wave? What is it that they are?
I'm painting some Epic Hail Caesar. So I started painting my Epic Hail Caesar in a couple of different ways. I've got my Romans here, but that one model or one unit took me about 2.5 hours to do. So I got the airbrush out yesterday, and you can see like there's not really much detail on these, but because of how closely ranked they are, you can pretty much just go across with the airbrush, get all the basic colors on there. And because my eyesight's not very good, I can't notice the difference anyway from 2 feet away. So I'm hoping to get a few more of these painted up, maybe use a bit of dip to get some shade on there very quickly, and then get them on the table.
Don't do it. Don't do it. You've had that tin of shoe polish for 10 years.
No, that's the thing. I don't like the army painted dip. I used it on my Algorand years ago, and I regretted it. But Vallejo do a dip that's a water based, or at least it's much thinner. It's not like a varnish. Right. I'm gonna try it out on one or two units. It's only a tenner for a pot, and I thought it's probably worth a try.
It's not floor polish and creosote then?
No, God. Can you imagine dipping these into varnish? You'd lose whatever detail is on there. So
yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I'm getting a little bit of the detail onto them tonight when I'm not steering the keyboard.
I am still working my way through the 20 clan rats that came in the Age of Sigmar starter.
God, scathing.
So as I put my reading glasses on, which I need to paint, if they look a bit twisted, it's because my 9-year-old autistic son broke in here the other day, did quite a lot of damage, tore off some wallpaper.
No.
And tried on my glasses, took some pictures of himself, and then twisted them.
Oh, very good.
And the lens was out.
Wow.
And I've been a competition since then. So that is the joy of having a neurodivergent child.
I mean, it's a joy of having any child. My kids are little hellions. They get up to all sorts of hijinks. But yes, they're in bed now, so long may they stay there.
Allied Veteran Wargamer says, don't shake the Vallejo dip. Stir it or the bubbles are a nightmare.
That is good to know, because I do tend to, whenever I...
How can you pick up paint without shaking it, mate? That's...
Right. Yeah, but it's in a big old...
And when I'm looking, but I'm shaking one in my hand while I'm looking at the rack. It's just a habit. You got to do it.
You do. At least this new paintbrush I've got seems to be doing a much better job of getting the details out. It's the Army Painter Detail Brush, because all my detail brushes are afraid to Kingdom Come, so this is working slightly better. I'm really in the Roman mood as well. I've been listening to an audio book of the Second Punic War by is it Theodore A. Dodge, he wrote it in like 1880 80 or something. So a lot of the contemporary references are referring to the American Civil War.
Right. Okay.
But
Biz is in the viewing. This is Skaven for the win, obviously, true fact. Pro tip from Alad and Lazy Pirate Painting. 58 mil American War of Independence, Moonstone Shades, and some basis for Midgard, the new sort of heroic Viking saga type game from Two Fat Lardies are publishing it, but it's another guy who's written it, a bit like O Group. So it's got a lot. It's kind of got
sounds like my kind of game.
It's not like their proprietary system,
right?
What I've been up to before we get into the meat of the thing. I think I mentioned this last time. Bronze Shield, Silver Coin. Guy sent us a review copy. I think he self-published it. Small Bath Miniatures Games. Greek Skirmish. 10 guys. J Biz and I had a game earlier this week. It was all right. It was all right. It was very easy to follow. You know, we just opened the book and worked our way through it whilst playing a game.
Nice.
All right, we need 10 models.
I like the form factor. I've got a soft spot for a small rule book, one I can like a pocket-sized one.
Yeah. So what I might be trying is I might do a flip through of this. It says as new, potentially new type of content. I don't talk a lot about rules on the channel, but I think flip throughs are often just getting to have a look through a book and tell you a lot about it, about how the rules are. Just, looking at weapons tables and stuff tells you a lot about the system.
Right.
And to that end, Osprey got in touch about their new Silver Bayonet supplement. And I said, well, I'm interested in Silver Bayonet, but I don't have the main rules. So they sent me them as well. That's a lovely hardback book.
Very nice of them.
A Silver Bayonet is like Napoleonic period, alternate universe with a very strong horror theme, which I'm quite interested in. It's a skirmish. It's got kind of notes of Malifaux to it, I think.
Oh, yeah. See, Malifaux I've not played, but I've heard very good things about.
Yeah. But Malifaux's got very much about fixed warbands, though. I think that's a really key part of that.
Okay.
Whereas this, you play British and you get options for different types of things. And and if you play French, you get to lose that sort of stuff. Because that's how it's supposed to go. Lazy Pirate Pen says Silver Bayonet is an excellent game, which doesn't seem like an interesting system. So, like setting, sorry. I'll be interested to see what it's like as a game. So, Jamie, just as you're getting into your painting there, do you want to show them a pretty picture of your beautiful app? And
yes, I do. Let me just rinse off this brush. So
the Warlord App.
The Warlord App. Hold up. There we go. Pop that there. Right. So, let me share my. I'm already sharing my screen. You're in control.
Oh, I need to put you. Add to the stage. There we go.
There we go. Right then, so I should probably talk through. I'll assume that some people on the stream have not come across the Warlord app before, but the idea behind this is to minimize the amount of time that you have to spend with the rulebook open. So there's kind of two goals with that. One is if you stood at the bus stop, you can't really take this with you. Most people probably don't. So you can't build army lists. Yeah, so I always imagine that you want to be able to build army lists while you stood at the bus stop. And then once you're actually playing the game, you want to spend less time flicking through the book because nothing really kills the momentum of a game than having to go and reference rules and so on. So this is supposed to make it easy to build your lists and then to get playing the game and to it's the Beyond the Gates of Antares, man. Yes, it is the Beyond the Gates of Antares, man. So more on that potentially later. So I started building this I did a proof of concept back in early 2020, but we didn't really start building it properly until 2021. And obviously we were building for Bolt Action version 2, and we didn't really release it properly until version 3, but it was in beta for a good 2 or 3 years. We announced it actually at Warlord Open Day 2021. I think that's when we first met. Yeah. So this is my third appearance on the show, I believe. We've done pretty much every year. And so you when you log in, you're presented with your game picker. We currently support 3 games in various various different stages of completeness. So we've got Bolt Action version 3, Black Seas, and Blood Red Skies. Since everyone probably wants to hear about Bolt Action, I'm going to start at the opposite end. We're going to start with Blood Red Skies. So we've got the squadron builder here. Now this one's probably the least complete of the three. We've got a functional squadron builder. I'll start with a new one. Let me just delete that one that we've got there, and we'll start a new squadron. So if we go and create a Royal Air Force squadron, and we're going to call it Tally-Ho.
That sounds like a suitable call sign. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then we select a new plane. Now I don't know what I should really be selecting. I'm going to select Hurricane 1. Now, one thing that we've had this feedback before is that you shouldn't really be able to select different plane types, because in Blood Red Skies you have squadrons where it's all the same type of plane. But there's currently not a restriction of that in the app, but it does show you a selected plane at the top, so you can add another couple easily enough there. Now that could use some usability improvements, but I've got my 3 Hurricane ones now, and then I can click into there and see what traits they have. So if I click on the little
you got nice pictures of the cards. You got
yeah. So we built those all up. That was Stacey's handiwork, and so we try and preview as much as, so you don't have to have all the physical components out. Now, I was talking to Ken Nat, who runs the Blood Red Skies Ready Room. We chatted a couple of times at past open days at Warlord, but we had a good chin wag in September, and he had some suggestions for what would make this much better for Blood Red Skies players. So for anyone that is playing Blood Red Skies, if you have suggestions that you want to send to me, send them to warlord@maloric.com. There's a contact us link down here in the app. But yeah, so I can select my traits. I can change my experience level. If I'm an ace, I can then choose an ace card as well. So if I choose Douglas Bader, then I can see what that looks like. Choose that.
Bader gets the no legs trait. Oh no, it's not there.
No, it's Killer Instinct and Blackout Master. So yeah, so it's a functional list builder, but probably could use a few more bells and whistles. One thing it could obviously use is a PDF export, but at the moment it's just something just to try and summarize all the information in one place. If I then go to Black Seas, which is slightly more complete, this was
when you said about being incomplete there, Jamie. All the planes are in there, right? All the rules are in there.
All the planes that we had. So I know obviously there was a lot of planes that came from the community as well that weren't official but had been kind of signed off by Warlord. So we got all of those in there, and some of them, if I go back to the Blood Red Skies, if I go to the library and we look at aircraft, for example, there's a whole bunch of them that don't have points costs. Now, after talking to Ken, apparently you can calculate the points cost based on the stats that it has. So that's something that needs to be added in, because we only have the points costs based on the data that we had at the time. But yeah, I think all of the
no official points cost. You don't have a points cost in there.
Yeah, exactly. So there's some of those that are missing. Now we should have all of the traits that I'm aware of in there, but again, this needs first off, it needs time from myself and from Stacey to go through and look through the data and make sure that all the data that's in there is correct, and then to work with the Blood Red Skies community to identify anything that is missing that needs to be added in as well. So that is on our agenda. We're not. I think one thing to remember with the whole app, not just with Blood Red Skies, but with everything in the app, is that it's never a finished product. It's always going to get more work done to it. So anything that might not work the way you want it to today will hopefully work the way you want it to tomorrow. That sounds like I'm apologizing for it immediately. It gets better from this point on. I'm showing you the least complete. So Black Seas was then the first thing that I built. This was the proof of concept that I built back in early 2020. And the only thing that's missing from this that I'm aware of is we've got some images that are missing. So if I click on one of my new fleets there and go to add ships, You can see I've got images next to a bunch of ships, but others that don't have images because either.
The silhouette.
Yeah, so it's actually not just a silhouette. If I click into the ship details, you get it's essentially a recreation of the card that you get.
Card. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, some of those ship cards, I think, I can't remember whether it was that they didn't have images or we didn't have a copy of the card digitally. So there's some ship images that need to be added. Either we need to get an appropriate image or get the image that already exists. And then we also have this was made back when there were no expansions for Black Seas, and there is an expansion now. You've got the monsters one. I can't remember what it's called now, but there's also some of the ships, nation specific ships that aren't included. So all the
ones.
Yeah, so because all the ships in Black Seas, every nation has the access to the same ships, other than the specific ones for for Spain or for England, and so those ones haven't been added in either, and that's been the case for a while. Again, it doesn't get as much TLC as Bolt Action does because it's a smaller audience, but it is a functional list builder. So if I go to add upgrades, I have access to all of the upgrades that are in the game there. I can add if I keep adding upgrades on, eventually it will tell me that I'm at my maximum. So it's validating that I don't add too many upgrades. It's calculating points costs, and I can then change my experience level, and it'll recalculate the cost of all of the upgrades as well. I can see on the ship details everything that I get on the ship card. And then what Black Seas has as well is a battle tracker. So if I go to add to battle, and hopefully this is going to work because it's been a little while since I've used it. Try that again. No, it's not. Okay, so there's a bug there, which again hasn't been reported because no one, I think, is currently using Black Seas. Let me just try that one more time. No. So what should be happening on here, and I'll have to go back and fix it, is it allows you to, if I go back to the Black Seas list builder. Oh, not that one. If I go back to the other list, actually. Oh God. Panicking and clicking on too many things. Right, so if I go on to the second rate again and go to ship details, what we get in the battle tracker is an interactive version of this. So at the moment, I can't do anything with this. If I click on any of these numbers up here, it doesn't do anything. But in the battle tracker, we can change the rate of sail. We can change the hull points. We can change the type of ammunition that we're firing from any one of our broadsides, and we can add status effects. So when the mast is hit and that kind of thing, we can keep track of all of that. And the idea is to reduce the amount of clutter that we have on the tabletop. And for anyone who's played Black Seas, you've got like a tracker that's kind of built into the card. It's got the hit points along the top and the bottom of the card when you've got it in landscape mode, but you have to kind of move these little cardboard clips.
They're those cardboard paper clips, aren't they?
Yeah.
Cruel Seas, they're not very fit for purpose.
Right. It's a novel idea, but I always find with games like that, I'm pretty bad at. I've got massive thick fingers, and I'm pretty bad at keeping track of all of my tokens on the table because I'm clumsy. So this is to try and reduce that and put it into a digital form where you're not going to accidentally knock all the components off the table. So the battle tracker that was more of a demo of what we envisage skirmish level games having, because we did the same thing for Fallout Wasteland Warfare, and that was one of the best parts of that app was reducing the table clutter. And then of course Bolt Action. So we started building the Bolt Action list builder back in 2021 for second edition, but we were always playing catch up. As you know, we had 10 years worth of books at the start of our journey, and they released more books while we were busy building the app. And so there was a couple of thousand units that had to be added into the game or added into the app. And then every time, the deeper we got into it, as we got into campaign books especially, there were edge cases that every time we'd come across something that, the app doesn't currently support that, then Stacey would add a ticket to my backlog where I would have to go and rewrite the code to support that new use case. and it took a long time before we felt it was close to complete. And by the time it was close to complete, Bolt Action version 3 was in the works. And so when Warlord told us we're going to release version 3 in September, that was back in sort of the beginning of April, a couple of weeks before Osprey kind of spilled the beans. And initially, we were kind of bummed out that all the work we'd done was kind of going to be superseded, but very quickly realized, no, this is a better game. It means we get to wipe the slate clean, right?
Yeah.
We had at that point still, dozens and dozens of tickets on my backlog for things that had to be fixed or changed or improved, and it was a great relief to be able to say, well, we've got all the code that we wrote for version 2. It's the same game, but an evolution, which is great. We got to learn all the lessons in version 2 and then start with a clean slate on version 3 and be ahead of the game, because we had one rulebook's worth of data. We'd have it ready at launch. And so that's what we did. So let me quickly take you through the process.
Without, the bottom line was where you were with Bolt Action 2 is you were going to be for years playing catch up to Easy Army. You already had it all in.
Absolutely, we were, and
a user base that's just so used to just doing it. That's where they're already going. It's all there. It works.
So I've just realized there's an issue there creating a new company. So I'm just trying to fix that here. Let me log out and log back in. So we've had a couple of bug reports recently. I made some changes to the caching. Anyone who's on the stream that is using the app, if you get something like this that happens, there's a couple of things you can do to diagnose it. First off, emailing us is great because we want to know when there's any bugs like this encountered. But the first thing that you can try is go to the settings page for Bolt Action. Every game has its own settings page, and there's this refresh entity cache button, and that will just ensure that it's loaded all of the data that it needs to load. And then when you go back and refresh, hopefully that'll fix it. And if that doesn't fix it, we're going to log out and log back in. So I'm not able to create
switch it on again, eh?
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing how often that happens. So this was partly because I made some changes this week or the weekend, which were to increase the speed at which all the data loads. But we did notice some bugs with that. And unfortunately, I seem to be finding them all now because of the demo. Have I logged in as the wrong account? I don't think I have. So bear with me. It's not a great advert for it, but as anyone who's been using the app can attest, we've been providing round-the-clock support. So one of the consistent bits of good feedback that we get is people are very pleasantly surprised by how quickly we respond and how quickly we fix any issues that come up. So there we go. So Select Nation is now populating the lists. So we typically Stacey is doing most of the frontline support, and when she's not on there, I am. And we'll respond to emails. Every email gets responded to within 24 hours. Usually it's within about 2 hours, unless we're asleep. Unless
the person doing it is in the US.
Yeah. Well, so actually for a little while we were providing round the clock support, because when this launched, I was in the US for a month.
Yes, you were, wasn't you?
Yeah. So what typically was happening was I would go to bed around 1 a.m. US time, just after I handed over to Stacey, who was getting the kids up for school. And then when I woke up, she'd just got the kids home from school, and we'd have a catch up. And then when she went to bed, I'd take over on support. So we were providing 24-hour support, which was novel. But so now if I go create my new list, so when it does work, when it loads all the nations there, you start with your rifle platoon, because that is a requirement. You can remove it, but it will then tell you have to include at least one rifle platoon. Our ethos with a lot of this is to allow you to do anything, but to tell you when it's not legal, so that you're able to go outside of the bounds of the rules if you want to, but it's very clear when you're
You'll know you have done. Yeah.
So if I add that platoon back in, rifle platoon, click add, and you can rename the platoon if you want to. You can, if you click on there, or when you add it, ignore that up there. If I just call this my first rifle platoon, it sounds like a kid's version of bold action, doesn't it? My first rifle platoon.
Official price version.
And it's not saved it, so that's another bug. And what I need is someone writing this down, but I guess I'll just go back and rewatch the stream.
Give me an extra view.
Yeah, there you go. But the core functionality works at least. So if I had my platoon commander there, and we'll add, let's do like a home guard platoon. I'm going to add 2 home guard sections. So one thing that we've changed since the last time I was on here is on this page being able to go in and immediately edit the units that you're adding, because a lot of people didn't like having to navigate back to the platoon and then click into it to edit. So there's 2 ways you can get to that now. When you go to select units and you add things in here, you can click edit. What we didn't want to do was require you to have to edit it or configure it before you add it. Because a lot of the time, if I'm on this page and I want to add 2 home guard sections and I don't want to do anything to them, what I don't want to have to do is click home guard section and then it takes me to immediately to this page, and then click done and then do the same thing again. So it's not to everyone's liking. Some people do actually want to configure each unit as they go, and ultimately we just had to make a choice.
Yes. And I've felt both ways about that question.
Right. Yeah, and the thing is, like, I tend to
you just load up the defaults, and then why doesn't it take me to the editor straight away?
Yeah, so we tried to accommodate both, and it's the sort of thing where if enough users tell us that they want a particular behavior, then what we'll probably do is make it configurable so that you can have either. But it really just depends on, like, we're not going to waste time on something that people don't want, so it's really down to what people request from us. So you can go and configure the options. You can see items grayed out that aren't available. So, like, give an unarmed soldier a rifle. Obviously I can't do that because there's no unarmed soldiers, but if I add a couple of unarmed soldiers to the squad, that now becomes available, and I can add 2 rifles, and it updates at the top how many rifles I've got. I've got any special rules that apply to the unit, so if I click on there I can see at a glance what that special rule does, so I don't have to keep opening up the rule book. I can hide any invalid options so that if I only want to see the ones that I'm able to apply, then it does that for me. If I add new weapons, so like an LMG, it will add them to the stat blocks up at the top and tell me that one of the men above becomes the loader. So this is all fairly explanatory, self-explanatory, hopefully. But then at the bottom here, you've also got a manual points adjustment. Now, this was put in because in version 2, as I said, we had a lot of edge cases that we hadn't quite accommodated. And so we added this in so that if for example, there's an option that we haven't put into the app yet, then you could put in your own custom option where, let's say it was a rifle grenade adapter, something that was in version 2. I don't think it's in version 3 yet, rifle grenade adapter. And put in 10 points, hit save, and I've now got a manual points adjustment there. So that just allows you, and it also allows you to reduce the points. It means if we got a points value wrong, or if it's been changed in the errata and we haven't updated yet, then you'd be able to go to there and you'd be able to, for example, reduce the points cost of the unit by 2 points and just say errata and hit save.
And it's entirely possible in the early days, people playing tournaments, that tournaments will vary the costs of things as metas start to form.
Yeah,
this is a brand new game.
Yeah,
and at the moment, there's not a lot of knowledge out there, but quickly, I think. And if I have a concern about Bolt Action 3, is the kind of the move away from the reinforced platoon.
Right.
Is there's likely to be a lot more, I think, tournament adjustments, because it's very free to take a lot of one type of thing in the way that in the past you weren't.
Yeah, it's a much more flexible list building system, that's for sure.
Yeah,
and I think you're right. I can imagine TOs choosing to limit the number of armored platoons, for example, or to add extra requirements where we require to have 2 rifle platoons, not just 1. And I think that's a good thing because it allows that flexibility for events. But I'd be interested to see, what kind of clever ways that people break the game and how Warlord respond to that. So I've got a couple of manual points adjustments there, so you can add as many as you want, so that you can label them separately if you don't want to just kind of lump everything into one point adjustment. But I'm going to delete those for now. They will show up in your PDF export as well, which we're going to do in a minute. So if I then add a paratroop section on there as well and go back, that's now met the requirements of my first platoon. So if I go back up to the top level, you see I don't have that warning anymore. I can add another platoon. Now, there's actually another place I can add the platoon. If I go into my first platoon, you see on the right-hand side here, that's a plus button. So I can go and add, say, an armored platoon and hit done. And now it tells me that that doesn't meet all the unit requirements. I can navigate back to platoon 1, where there are no errors, or I can navigate into platoon 2, where I now have to select my command vehicles. So let's select I don't know what would be a good command vehicle. I feel like an armored car is more of a command vehicle. So we're going to go with a fully enclosed armored car, which by default is a Rolls-Royce AC. And then let's add a Grant 1 as well. I'm going to go and adjust the Grant 1 to upgrade it to a Grant 2. So you can change the experience level as well, and it's automatically adjusting all the points. If you like to have the total points value visible, so this is the points value for the entire force, that's configurable. So in the settings for bolt action, you can tick or untick this setting or toggle this setting for showing the force cost on the unit page. I like to have it on because obviously if you're building up to a particular points value, then you want to be able to see what that is at all times. And there was obviously a lot of chat about exactly how the armored platoon command vehicle should be treated, because the wording felt ambiguous, but we confirmed with Warlord what the behavior should be, and it's essentially that you can only have 1 vehicle with the command rule,
right,
per armored platoon. And so any vehicle that didn't already have the command vehicle rule available gets it. So if we look at Rolls-Royce AC, it's got at the bottom here, command vehicle, and it says added by the platoon selector. So it's very clear where that's coming from. That's more for our sake than anything, because we don't want to get lots of emails saying, oh, why is this got command vehicle? It shouldn't.
Right, because that's you using the rule that says upgrade a vehicle to a command vehicle for 10 points.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and then, if I was to then add a Rolls-Royce AC in another slot, it wouldn't be available because it's only available in that one slot.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, like this should be fairly self-explanatory. You can see that when I select this, for example, open turret, mounted anti-tank rifle, and coaxial light machine gun. So if I select that, if I select that, I no longer have a medium machine gun, which means that a load of the options that were available are no longer available, right? So this one, replace the medium machine gun with 1 light anti-tank gun. I can't take that and take this one here, because I'm either upgrading it to a Marmon Harrington Mark IV or to a Humber Mark II. I can't do both. So it'll automatically keep up to date what options are available. Again, just to try and make it easy for you as the user.
Yeah.
So you don't have to.
The Humber is the one that's the plastic kit that people will have. Is that in there?
Let's have a look. If I go back,
the Humber. I think there's a 2 and a 4, and the 2 is the desert one.
Yeah, the Humber 2 is there. Yeah, and then the Humber 4 as well. So yeah, you can. It's basically got everything that's in the core rule book. And one of the most common support queries we get is, where do I find this particular unit entry? And it's because people don't all have their hands on the core rulebook yet. So
another vehicle hasn't been published yet.
Or for vehicles that haven't been published yet. Yeah. So obviously we are working on Armies of Germany as well. So we have to, before we answer any queries, we have to just check, wait, was that Armies of Germany or was that core rulebook? So we don't spill the beans on anything. But once I'm done with editing all this, I can also, if I want to see the page that anything is in the rulebook, I can click on this little icon up here, and it'll tell me which supplements it appears in. Obviously, only version 3 rulebook at the moment, but which page it appears on.
And a page reference, beautiful.
Page reference, there we go. And I can. There's a couple of things I can do in addition to that. I can see all the Army special rules, so national characteristic in this case. And because I've got national characteristic, I can actually go and select that and pick which
British pick from a list, don't they? They're not like the others.
That's correct. Yeah. So they have one of the following national characteristics, and in version 2, there were additional rules around how that worked. Like certain units would have their own national characteristic regardless of what was at the top level. Right. I don't know what the plan is for version 3. I'm hoping it's a little simpler than that, but I guess we'll have to wait and see when Armies of Great Britain comes out. Right. But you can select your national characteristic. You can, what else can you do? You can add fortifications on there. So there's a couple of different ways that you can do fortifications in the rulebook. You've either got points costs, where it's 50 points for each one. I think some of them are 100 points. Or you can just agree you're allowed so many. So if I add a couple on there.
That might be in some scenarios, for example.
Yeah, so well, I think the rules as written, they just tell you, like, if agreed with your opponent, you can add fortifications, and you can either agree a certain number or you can agree a certain points value. And so you can add, like, a couple of anti-tank ditches and then a couple of anti-tank minefields, and they'll go into your PDF output as well.
I love the idea that you can place an anti-tank ditch on a table. You're going to put a 20-foot trench in the middle of my board, are you?
Yeah, you should dig it out. Yeah. So,
there's Wooly Mike saying, so I mean, this is about whether it's in the rulebook or not, but is the 4 machine gun Stuart tank still in there?
I don't know. Let's have a look. So if I go to select units, let's remove the grant and look for.
So the Stuart light tank.
That looks like the one. So how many? So we got light anti-tank gun, medium machine gun, and forward-facing medium machine gun. Can I get more medium machine guns on there? Place all weapons with 1 forward. No, that's not it. Add 1 additional hull-mounted MMG. I can get to 3 MMGs. Oh wait, hold on. MMG, and a light anti-tank gun. So
yeah,
I think that's as close as I can get. That's 3 MMGs and a light anti-tank gun. Is that? I hope that answers your question, Wooly Mike.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll keep the Stuart then, because I think 3 MMG seems quite good. So then when I'm done, I can lock the force at any time just to hide all those buttons, because it makes it slightly easier to read. But you don't have to lock the force. Right, you can export it as a PDF, and there's a few different options you can have here. I always leave the special rules as just a summary. You can have the full list of special rules, but
that's verbatim, is it?
Yeah, just copied straight out of the rule book. But the problem is, if you've got like a 1,000-point force or a 1,250-point force, you've probably got quite a lot of special rules there, and it just adds a lot of extra pages to print.
Yeah.
Whereas
most of which
you probably know most of them, right? So there aren't any summaries in the rule book. We wrote our own summaries,
right?
Which means that some of the summaries don't really have all the information in there that you need. So if you feel like there's any of the summaries that need to be improved, let us know, and we'll add the information you need in there. Or you can just leave them out altogether. But I go with summary. Mm-hmm. You can include the weapon data or not, and you can include what selected options you've got. So hit export, and then you get. Now I don't know if this is going to show up on the screen share. Oh, it is good. So this is my PDF output. It's obviously quite a short one, but we get all the special rules summary down here. We get all the weapon stat blocks that I need. So again, the idea here is that you shouldn't have to open the rulebook much. Once you've got this printout, you shouldn't even have to really open the app. If you want to get like a full rules reference for like Recce, for example, if you're like, oh, I'm pretty sure there's something extra special about that, you can go into the app and just find it by going to library, special rules, and then you can just scroll down to it, or you can search up at the top for Recce, and then click on that, and you get the full list of all the rules.
And you're just demonstrating why you don't want that printing at the end of your army list.
Exactly, because a lot of this information isn't necessary, right? If the summary is supposed to just jog your memory,
Yeah.
So, but like I say, it's likely that the summaries aren't perfect. So those are really easy for us to change. If someone says, "Oh, this critical bit of information is missing from the summary," let us know, and we can probably have it like fixed within the hour, because it doesn't require a new app release. So I think that's really it, to be honest. You've got, obviously, there's a few quality of life improvements we made since last time. We've got things like you can duplicate platoons, you can duplicate units.
Oh, well, that's good. That's good.
One thing that confuses everyone, that trips everyone up, on here on the desktop version, there's a delete icon, so I can delete a platoon and delete units and so on. But on the if I just show you what it looks like on a phone, so this would be the phone view, and there's no delete icon, and everyone's like, I don't know how to delete a unit or delete a platoon after I've added it. It's just a swipe, so you click on it and swipe to the left, and you can.
And that's just to declutter the interface, right?
Yes.
Presumably.
Yeah, and it was something that I felt was intuitive, but I think the community has proved me wrong on that point.
Right.
It's not intuitive enough. Once you know, and people only ever ask that question once. But we've added it to the FAQ. If you ever get stuck with anything, we do have a frequently asked questions, and there you go. It's the top question: how do I delete a force/unit? Because it comes up all the time. But that might be something where in the settings we'll add like a toggle that says always show delete icon, for example.
Oh yeah, this is a good question from Wooly. We definitely do with our games. Do you still have the code share facility so I can give my mate my list?
Oops. Yes, I do. So I'm glad you mentioned it, because that is an important feature. So I'm going to switch back to the desktop version, be easier to read. So there's two sides to this. One is this one here. You see this little cloud icon with a down arrow. If I click on that, it'll allow me to import a force from a sharing code. Now you'd be thinking, where do I get a sharing code from? Well, you get that from, if I go to the list I just created, I've got too many fortifications for the size of my force because I deleted one of my platoons. We'll just ignore that. If I go to share force, there's two different ways I can share a force. One is I can toggle this viewable by anyone, and it'll generate this code for me. So I can send that code, I can copy it to the clipboard and send it to someone in like WhatsApp or whatever. Or I can copy this URL here, and someone can just click on that and it'll take them straight to the app and be able to view that force. So if I've just copied that, so if I just go into another tab and paste that in and cross my fingers, and there we go. So this force has been shared. Then I can view it, but I can't make any changes to the original force because it's not my force. But I can copy it to my data. So obviously this is my force, but I'm viewing the shared version. This is a handy way to duplicate a force if you wanted to, but I think there is a duplicate anyway. Save shared force, and now it takes me to my copy of that shared force. So that just means you can with the sharing code or with the link, you can post on social media and say, here's a list I built, what do you think? Or I just won a tournament, this was the list I did.
Yeah.
And if you want to share with a specific person, you can instead, if you know their email address, the email that they use to log into the app, you can just add that in there. So if you want to share them with me, for example, you do jamie@maloric.com and just click add. And that means that now when jamie@maloric.com logs in, I'll refresh that, and I've shared it with myself. If I scroll down at the bottom, I guess because it's my own list, I don't see it. But if it was someone else's, then I'd get a section at the bottom that says shared lists, and I again can click into that and copy it to my data as well. So yes, to answer your question, it does still have the code sharing facility.
And we found it was useful both for planning games, because we don't get, but actually you have the scope to provide very lopsided lists.
Yeah, of course.
Take a lot, especially now. I'm going to take a lot of tanks, and you take no tank, and they don't often lead to very fun games.
Yeah, right.
Because when making videos, we talk about the forces we're going to use beforehand to try and make the game different for the viewer from the last battle that they watched,
right?
And B, to make sure that there's some that doesn't mean we like match off. It's more like, well, look, I'm going to play these today, so you want to get something that's going to provide a good fight against them.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, that absolutely makes sense. The other thing that this is kind of an early preview of we been talking to tournament organizers about what we can do to support them better in the app as well. And this is already something useful that tournament organizers can tell people to submit their lists via the app.
On here, yeah, then they
because it does all the validation for you, right? So if anyone's already using the app, and bear in mind there's a 7-day free trial of the app, so even if someone's not using the app, then they can submit their lists through the app directly to the TO, as long as they know their email address, or they just send them the code. And that means as a TO, I can then just go in and take a look at it. And if I see that there's any validation warnings, I can say, well, you need to go back and fix it. So we intend for that to be an even better experience in the future. Obviously, there's only so many hours in the day, but TOs are fairly high on our list of people we want to build features for, because they're also going to help us to spread the word of the app as well.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what other features we've got. So a lot of the other stuff that we've been doing recently was really around kind of sanding off some of those rough edges. So you'll notice, like when I refresh the page, it loads all the language data and loads all the other data. It flashed up very, very quickly there because it's mostly cached, so it loads quite quickly. But if I click on this, for example, it just stays up after it's done, and it just shows me all the data that's loading. Now, most users don't actually care about specific data that's loading, but that helps me massively when something's going wrong. If this comes up and it says like unit templates didn't load up, I know exactly where the problem is. Yeah. So this is all just kind of stuff that it's not exciting, but it helps massively.
Michael, you're looking at the desktop version.
This is the desktop version. Yeah. So it's the desktop version is just through the web. So just go to app.warlordgames.com, but it syncs your data across all devices. So if you do want to use it on your tablet or on your phone, then you'll see all your data turn up in all three.
So as everybody sort of storms over there, Jamie, obviously this is not free.
So yes, that's correct. So that was going to be my next thing. Was we obviously, when we did the version 2 version of the app, it was in beta for 2 years, 3 years, I think it was, and I think it was in beta for so long that people kind of forgot that was a beta. We'd always said, look, it's going to be a paid subscription when the app launches, right? But it had been live for such a long time. Michael, yes, you do get the option to print a list. That's just from the PDF that we just looked at. I don't know if you saw that before, but this is the PDF output, and you can print that out and take that with you. So yeah, we'd had it in beta for a long time, but with version 3, that was the obvious point at which we would say, right, this is no longer in beta, because we'd be up to date with the current rule set. And we'd have the minimum set of features that we thought this is worth paying for, right? It's not as valuable as it's going to get, because at the point of launch, it's got the least features it's ever going to have, and those features are going to be added to over time, and the subscription will cover all of them. So the value of the subscription only gets better and better and better. So it's not $2.99 a month, it's $1.99 a month in English money, or your equivalent. Or you can pay for an annual subscription. Now, if you're already on the app and you're wondering where's this annual subscription, it's only available to sign up via the web. Now, you can still use it on iOS and Android, but I'll be honest, the main reason for that is iOS and Android take such a big share of the revenue that we can give you a free month on the web version and still make more than we do on the App Store. So not only do you get a free month, you get 12 months for the price of 11. You also get a £10 voucher off of the Warlord web store, which you can redeem. If I show you, you go into the settings page and you can go to Warlord discount voucher. I'm not going to click on that because I don't want you seeing my voucher, but you go into there, you add your email address for the Warlord web store, which web store you want to redeem against, because there's 3 of them, one for the EU, one for UK, and one for the rest of the world. And then you click generate voucher, and it gives you a voucher which you can use immediately. And so you get those, and then you also will get early access to new content as it's released. So we've got Armies of Germany coming in January. We don't know exactly when we're going to release it in the app, but if you're an annual subscriber, you'll get access to the Armies of Germany list builder before the book has been released. So for everyone that wanted to get access to the core rules early, the easiest way for them to do that is get an annual subscription. You'll be supporting the development of the app. You'll be getting early access to the rules. You'll be getting £10 off of an order on Warlord, and so overall your subscription ends up costing you about £11 for the year, which that goes towards paying for our hosting costs. It goes towards paying for my time, for my wife's time spent on supporting you, and just on all the features that we plan on adding to it.
So your annual subscription is £21.89, and you get a £10 voucher with it.
Mm-hmm.
The game that you play.
That's the one.
Right. I mean, it's something, but it's not a lot of money. Yeah, I mean, and presumably the comeback from that is you're going to keep that app advert free.
Oh yeah,
and all, that's the compact, right? If I'm paying for it, I don't want to have to sift through all the junk.
Absolutely, yeah. So the idea, I mean, I get what people's objection to subscriptions is, and that's fine. Subscriptions aren't for everyone, but the subscription is to be nice and simple. It's one cost. There's no hidden costs. There's not going to be like a paying for additional list builders as we add other games in, because we support 3 games at the moment, but we eventually want to support every game in Warlord's catalog. So we don't want you paying for one price for Bold Action and another one for Judge Dredd and another one for Black Powder. It's just $1.99 a month, and you get access to everything.
Yeah.
And
you will not, people will not have to put a code in when Armies of Germany comes out. It's just going to be here.
No, it'll just be there. You'll have, obviously, annual subscribers will have access to it sooner than monthly subscribers. But it's
that's like a little bonus, is it?
Yeah, it's basically just so if I can't remember what the exact date is, but it's end of January, right? Is Armies of Germany, and it'll be available to annual subscribers from say mid-January, maybe even the beginning of January. So if you're an annual subscriber, you'll be able to go in here and start building German lists with the new rule book immediately. So yeah, and if you look at the patch notes as well, we've done 10 releases since launch. There's actually, it looks like we've done 25 releases, but some of those were internal builds that didn't go out publicly. But that's what that's what the subscription's paying for. It's that level of support. We've done it's about 1 a week because we launched at the end of September. It's actually slightly more than 1 a week we've done in terms of releases. And if you then went back and looked at how often the releases were before, when we weren't making any money, they were a lot less frequent. We had periods of busy activity, but the app's been going for a long time, and we've been busier since we launched at the end of September than we've been at any point previously. So yeah, and it'll only keep improving from this point on.
Yeah. And you're well underway with Armies of Germany then?
Yes, yeah. So Stacey's been doing all the data entry. I've been making some adjustments to the app to support the changes that are in Armies of Germany. I say changes, it's not really changes, it's things that obviously the core rulebook is a simplified version of the game. There are additional rules that are in Armies of Germany that require code changes. But Stacey's I think she's done all the infantry, she's done all the tanks, and I think she's on to tank destroyers now. So she's making good progress. We think we're going to be ready in plenty of time and then get started on the next book, which is great. Warlord are fantastic. We have weekly meetings with Marcus and Pete Gosling, and yeah, they always have feedback for us. They're always looking for ways that they can help. When we had to do the work for the discount code redemption, Craig Cunningham, who's a developer over at Warlord, was fantastic. He worked with us closely to get that done. So they're really supporting the app well, and yeah, long may it continue.
All right. So I guess I can add some features for me that I'd like to see then.
Yeah, fire away. I should probably
get a PDF then, Jamie.
Yeah.
Because I know you got nothing better to do than to make changes to your app.
Yeah.
If we can look at your PDF, your
Oh,
export.
you want me to bring them up? Yeah. Okay. Sure.
This is the final product, right? This is what I'm actually leaving the room with.
Yes.
I go to war games of this is what I got.
Yeah.
So one is for me picking list.
Oh yeah. So that's on our backlog.
I'd really like to be able to say I need 47 riflemen, 3 NCOs with some machine guns.
Right. Sure. So let me ask you then, because pick list has been on our to-do list for a while, but let's say you've got home guard section.
Yeah.
Surely the models are different, right?
Yeah.
For whether it's a home guard section or a and then paratroopers are different again.
Yeah.
So your pick list presumably isn't just going to be I need this many men with rifles. It's I need this many home guard guys with rifles. I need this many.
For me, because you wouldn't catch me claiming that I had a platoon that had paratroopers and home guard in it.
Okay,
I've never liked about bolt action. I think that's ridiculous. and one of the things that I wish that they did was put into the basic rule: mountain troops cost 2 extra points a model, and they have this rule. And therefore, even when they haven't got a mountain troop mortar, I can make one.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Because what happens with a lot of those troops? Right, I got a load of paratroopers, and then they're just ordinary army guys running all the weapons.
Yeah. No, I get what you mean. Yeah.
You later supplements, they started to bring those things in. That they were in there, and they did do things like add 2 points per model, and it gets the paratrooper roll.
Yeah,
I just think that should have been in the core rule from the beginning, because your force should be paratroopers plus 2 points per model.
Well, you can use the manual point adjustment. And you can rename the unit, so you could do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not as nice as what you described, but it's possible for you to do that if you wanted to add that flavor on yourself, because you can. Let's just check that worked. Obviously, the platoon rename wasn't working, but if I went to the home guard section and renamed that to paratroop home guard, the historically accurate unit, there you go, paratroop home guard, and then when I export the PDF, then that's what I get. And if I wanted to add on a point adjustment there, then I can just say parachutes cost 2 points per model, so let's put it in as 10 points and save, and there you go. I've now got paratroop home guard. So there's a certain scope. Obviously you don't have complete customization options. You can't add weapons that aren't on the unit, for example. But okay, so pick list is definitely on our list.
And you're right, it should say like, grenadiers, whatever the unit type it is, and listing the NCO separately, 6 gunners, 6 loaders.
Yeah, okay.
Because we've all got a lot more figures than we're taking to the club.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense to me. I mean, so essentially, what you'd be looking for is rather than having to, if you've got regular infantry section. So obviously, the experience level doesn't really matter, right? So if you've got an inexperienced infantry section and a regular infantry section, you just care how many riflemen are in those sections combined, right? Yeah. So that I
can work out the figures at home. I can just pull out riflemen and
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that is on our to-do list. It's probably going to be some point after the Arms of Germany release. So I reckon sort of Q1 next year. I would like to get the pick list in, because it's been on our requested list for a couple of years. It's never been high enough priority, but obviously when we get caught up with unit data, then we're looking at features.
And you've never been in that position before.
No, we haven't. And
what version 2,
And the other thing that the app kind of now going to a subscription model does is it means at the moment I do all of the work on the app in evenings and weekends. So I've given up most of my hobby time and social time to work on the app, and at some point I'd like to get that time back, and it means that I can cut down my hours in my day job to work on this full time instead. And not only does that give me a better work-life balance, but it also means that I can do more for the app in a shorter space of time. So features start coming thick and fast as soon as the app's making enough money to justify doing it. So again, that's what you're paying for with the app, is getting those features.
We're dropping to a 3-day week. You got a big hole to fill there.
Yeah, right. So
Yeah.
so pick list is on there. Any other requests? Do you want me to get back on?
Yeah, again, it's about that, and this is just my old man eyes. So in terms of your tables here, the tables in the app are different. The tables here are just grey and white.
Yeah, I want to make this look a little nicer.
Much easier to follow if they're alternating stripes. You know, like a light grey, then a white, then a white.
Yeah.
But can you make that an option? I know that wouldn't suit everyone.
Yeah, I like that. So let me just.
Or even if just the header is a different, but you know, just things that help the eye move to the right position quickly.
You're absolutely right. It's kind of been bugging me for a little while. The PDF is kind of laid out okay, but it doesn't. It feels like it could be better. So you're absolutely right. The separation between unit blocks could be better. So we're going to put alt row styles, and again that's configurable. So we've actually got like a mega ticket for PDF improvements, because we've got some people have gone the other way where they want to massively simplify this output and just have something where it just gives you the text, right, of like as if you'd written it out in Notepad, which is like, of course, like it makes perfect sense. So we've got a few different things that we want to do so that we can customize the output to suit you as the user. So alternating row styles and headers and so on. Yeah, that makes sense.
You know what would be really beautiful?
Go on. A picture of you.
Output them as unit cards using the Warlord games.
Yes.
On the website.
The template. Yes. So we
again unit cards.
Yeah, unit cards is another thing that's been on our list for a little while, because I know Easy Army does that, and so as a result, people have asked us, like, will the Warlord app do that? I was like, yes, we will. Yeah, we'll get to it. It's down to how many people ask us for it in a given week.
Yeah.
So once Armies in Germany drops, like, if you all make a concerted effort as a community to email us all on the same day saying we desperately want this feature, it'll suddenly go to the top of our priority list and it'll get done.
Yeah. I mean, they're not saying, again, as a content creator, we manually create unit cards when we do bolt action, and people seem to really like them.
Right.
So you know, if you can export them,
absolutely,
just export them straight from here. Brilliant.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, for sure.
I understand you not having the images in the builder because that's just more clutter to look at, isn't it?
Yes. So we actually did have them in for version 2, but they were pulled down from the Warlord web store.
Yeah.
So every unit entry had a link to the web store. It also meant that you could click on the link to go to the web store to buy it if you wanted to. Obviously, close integration with the Warlord web store is valuable for Warlord and convenient for users as well. But we haven't done that for version 3 yet, mainly just because we haven't linked all of the unit data up yet. There's still a lot of the product line is aligned to version 2. Not all of the models that are available have version 3 representations yet.
Right.
So yeah, we will be putting images back in, but there'll probably be a config tick box to say hide unit images, because as you say, it clutters up the screen potentially. If you want the flavor, great. If you don't want the flavor, just get rid of them. Don't show the descriptions, just show me the stats.
Yeah. Good point from Wooly there as well. The unit cards will really help with demo games. So we work with Duncan's Band of Brothers, for the National Kidney Foundation.
Yeah.
We do some, which is one of the reasons we're often Warlord Day and other places, Salute and such. And again, because you just got people who've never played before coming up and getting involved. Card in their hands.
Yeah. And there's something just cool about having the card in your hand, right? Like, that's one of the things I loved about Fallout Wasteland Warfare, was just that it's very card heavy. It's probably too card heavy now. I don't know if you've ever played it, but just having something like a physical card in your hand, it just screams to the Hero Quest player in me.
Oh, but they were tiny cards.
Yeah, they were.
Cards.
But I had tiny hands back then. So.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, Jamie, it's good. It's good to see really positive stuff there. I'm obviously enjoying my subscription to Warlord Games, and I didn't realize it came with a £10 voucher. So
there you go. I think I haven't. I need to send out like a message blast or something in the app, because we got a few thousand users, and only like
Not claiming their vouchers.
a fraction of them have redeemed their vouchers so far. So we need to
Well,
remind
if you
people.
go back to the app, Jamie, actually, when I was looking, because you just told me about it, one of the things about the app is because it's got on the menu, it's got all the different games. There's lots of settings buttons.
Yes, I need to. I was thinking about that. I need to rename them. The addition of the extra settings pages was a very recent thing, and it was only really so that you had a separate refresh entity cache button for each game, because it's not often needed, but it needed to be somewhere where it was specific to that game, because otherwise the settings page down here was really cluttered. But you're absolutely right. Like, having what I would probably need is a little cog next to each.
I just tried to do the look for the voucher thing, see if it was on there. And I kept going into Black Season stuff and didn't realize why.
Yeah. So what I'm doing is this needs to be collapsible. I'm going to make this collapsible and then remember which ones you've got open, because if you don't care about, I keep doing this where on mine, I've got access to the admin screen, so I can go and change all the unit data. And then when I go back to the list builder, I always click on the list builder for Blood Red Skies rather than scrolling up to the top and clicking on the bullet. So that, and again, I think a lot of users still think of software as this kind of traditional pipeline where you build it, you ship it, and then it's done, right? And that's not the way it is. Like, we ship it as soon as we think that it's ready, and then we'll continue to improve it after that point. So every week we'll be releasing a new update, and so for things like that, like, the menu might not be great. Tell us about it. We'll improve it. And so
the Black Seas bit is much less imposing than the word settings.
Yeah, it is. It was absolutely right. That was sort of deliberate, but I see where that's a problem.
I'm just telling you because I just tried to do that thing. What for anyone that is interested, Warlord normally have a mega sale on in November.
They do.
I'm assuming they're doing it on their online sale.
They do,
The voucher will be valid with that sale in conjunction.
It will be valid with that sale. Yeah, I think originally the voucher was supposed to only be for a minimum order, but that, I think they changed their minds on that. So we don't control generating the voucher. That's done on their side. But it's you used to have like a minimum order of £60, I think it was, but now it's just any order. So you go get. Even if you don't want to buy anything from Warlord, like if you live out in Australia and the shipping's too much, then just go on and buy a PDF. There's a bunch of PDFs you can get for £10. So go and make use of it. Is what I mean.
Yeah. All right. That's thank you for your time. Hobby wise, I only got the metal parts done on 2 rats. Look at that. 20 to go.
I got the gold bits on the shields for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys, but of course they are very, very small guys, so not really a lot.
Yeah, right. 6 sounds like a lot until you see the size of the guy. Yeah. All right, that's it from us. Woolies, come and see me at the weekend. We're going to make some more videos. We've recorded a couple Team Yankee unboxings, which I'm hoping to get out over the next week or so, including the starter set for those interested. And we are going to be looking at the Achtung Panzer, I think, SS box, which kind of came out without a lot of fanfare, but it does have some new unit cards. But I think that's what we're going to do. And if we get time at the weekend, I'm finally hoping to play a game on the desert board that we made last year and still haven't played a game. Hoping to play a bit of Flames of War, get in there, which was very, very early videos from the channel. Johnny and I were playing like 50-point and starter set games of World of Tanks using the desert stuff. So hoping to have a little bit of a re-look at that. Again, it's been a while since we've got any games done, but I'm fully recovered from my surgery now. So hopefully we get a few more videos in. It's getting close to Christmas, guys. There's not going to be many more live shows before we have our annual Wargamers quiz at Christmas. So
check out what I've got myself for Christmas. It's the Mantic Advent calendar. Yeah, I got the Barroom Brawl one last year.
Yeah, the Barroom Brawl one last year. Yeah.
But this one's the sci-fi one. The only thing is, I it just gives me more miniatures to paint, and I don't have time to paint them. So the Ballroom Brawl one still hasn't been painted. I'm going to try to get these guys painted because I've got.
But it's not just there is a game, isn't there?
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
There's
So
a game.
there's a game. So it's not all miniatures that you get in there. I mean, there's quite a lot by the sounds of it, but each day you get either a bit of terrain, so you can see like on the back there they've got like different like crates and stuff. You do get actual like models in there, and then some days you're getting just like tokens or whatever. But then the box itself turns into a board. So the Barroom Brawl one really seemed like I don't know if you ever played. There's a Barroom Brawl game that was in White Dwarf back in the 90s,
right? And
it looked like a spiritual successor to that, but they were all Christmas themed. So like the dwarf barman had like a Santa's hat on and stuff. That it was really cool. Right. So so I bought myself that. That arrived today, so I'm looking forward to getting some of those.
I'm tempted to do a daily opening, like batch record it.
Oh yeah, that's not a bad idea.
We'll see. I don't have that many Christmas jumpers to pretend it's a different day. All right, guys, that's all it for us. Jamie, thank you for coming on and sharing your beautiful app. When we play games of Bolt Action 3, we will, when we remember, share the Maloric codes for the army lists we use.
Awesome.
If we forget to put them on and you want to see them, please do. I know sometimes people are interested in, looking at it and say, oh, did Kaiser have more points in that game or whatever? Well, we'll share the list codes and you will be able to check for yourself. Anyway,
I think you need to be an app subscriber to view them at the moment, but we are talking to Warlord about whether we make lists that you shared visible if you're not a subscriber. It's just that you can't make your own lists. So if that's the case, if anyone can't view your lists, then they might just need to log in on a 7-day free trial or something.
Yes, and there is a 7-day free trial, right?
There is a 7-day free trial.
Have a look. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.